The phone rang 17 times before it stopped. Kang Min-jae stared at the screen, watched her name flash and fade, and felt nothing. He'd felt nothing for 3 months now, 17 calls in 3 months. He ignored every single one. That was 4 years ago. Today, Min-jae stood outside a crumbling apartment building in the part of Seoul where hope went to die. Rain soaking through his $1,000 suit, staring at 3 small faces pressed against a ground floor window. 3 identical faces, dark eyes that tilted upward at the corners, sharp little chins, his mother's nose, his father's serious expression, his face. 3 times over. The world tilted. Min-jae's hand shot out, gripping the rusted railing to keep from falling. 4 years. 4 years since he'd thrown Ji-won out of his life. 4 years since he'd called her a liar and a cheat. 4 years since he'd stopped answering her calls. And she'd been calling to tell him about them, about these 3 children with his blood, his features, his eyes staring back at him through rain-streaked glass. Welcome to Aurora Love Saga, where some mistakes destroy empires and some truths rebuild them from ash. Subscribe now, because what happens when Korea's most dangerous man discovers the family he abandoned will change everything you thought you knew about power, pride, and second chances. This is the story of a man who had everything and lost the only things that mattered. 4 years earlier, Kang Min-jae didn't do love. Love was a liability in his world, a weakness his enemies could exploit, a distraction from the empire his father had built on blood and fear. At 32, he was the crown prince of Seoul's most powerful underground organization, the man who made grown men stammer and rival bosses think twice. Then he met Park Ji-won at a charity gala his family sponsored for appearances. She was 27, working as an event coordinator, wearing a simple black dress that cost less than his watch. She didn't know who he was. When she looked at him, she didn't see the heir to a criminal empire. She saw just a man. "You look like you'd rather be anywhere else," she'd said, handing him champagne with a smile that made his chest tight. "Is it that obvious? You've been checking your phone every 30 seconds and glaring at everyone who tries to talk to you. So yes." He'd laughed. Actually laughed. Something he hadn't done in years. They talked for 2 hours. She was smart, funny, genuine in a world where everyone wore masks. She told him about her dreams of opening her own event planning company, about the children's center she volunteered at on weekends, about her parents who'd passed away when she was 21. "What about you?" she asked. "What do you do?" "Business," he said. The lie tasted bitter. Import-export. That sounds boring. It is. It wasn't. His business was territory wars, money laundering, controlling the flow of everything illegal and profitable in the city. But sitting there with her, pretending to be normal, felt like breathing fresh air after years underground. He married her 6 months later. His father hated it, called her a nobody, a distraction, a weakness. Min-jae didn't care. For the first time in his life, he felt something other than cold calculation. He felt alive. They had 8 months of happiness. 8 months where Min-jae came home to someone who smiled when he walked through the door. 8 months of her trying to make him laugh, of Sunday mornings in bed, of almost believing he could be someone other than his father's weapon. Then came the business trip to Busan. 3 days. He'd kissed her goodbye, promised to call every night. On the second night, his second-in-command, Tai-soo, burst into his hotel room. "We have a problem." Min-jae looked up from his laptop. "What kind of problem?" "Your wife." The room went cold. "Speak clearly." Tai-soo placed his phone on the desk. Photos. Ji-won meeting a man at a cafe. Ji-won laughing with the same man outside a hotel. The man's hand on her lower back. Both of them entering the hotel together. Min-jae's vision blurred red. When? Yesterday and the day before, and last week when you were in Tokyo. More photos, more meetings, texts on a burner phone Tai-soo had somehow obtained. "Can't wait to see you again. He suspects nothing. Soon we'll have everything." Minjae's hands trembled. The only woman he'd ever trusted. The only person who'd made him feel human. And she'd been playing him like everyone else. He didn't call her that night. He flew home early, arrived at their penthouse at midnight. Jiwon was asleep in their bed, peaceful, innocent-looking. He woke her up by throwing the photos on her face. She jerked awake, confusion turning to horror as she looked at the images. "Minji, what?" "Don't." His voice was ice. "Don't insult me by lying. I don't understand what these are." "Who is he?" "I don't know what you're talking about." He leaned down, his face inches from hers. "The man you've been meeting, the one you've been texting, the one you're planning to take everything from me with. Who is he?" Tears streamed down her face. "There is no one. Minjae, please, I would never—" "You were seen entering a hotel with him." "What? No, I haven't. I've been working. I've been at the center with the kids and planning events and—" "Stop lying!" His roar made her flinch. "I have evidence, photos, messages, your burner phone records. Do you think I'm stupid? Do you think I'm some fool you can manipulate?" "Minjae, please listen to me. Someone is setting me up. Those photos can't be real. I haven't met any man. I haven't betrayed you. I love you." "Love." He laughed, bitter and broken. "You don't know what that word means." "I do. I love you more than anything. Please, just let me explain." "There's nothing to explain. I've seen enough." He straightened, looked down at her like she was nothing. "You have 1 hour to pack your things and get out of my home." Her face crumpled. "Minjae, no, please don't do this. We can figure out what's happening. We can find out who's doing this to us." "There is no us anymore. There never really was there? You were just patient, playing the long game, waiting for the right moment to destroy me." "I wasn't. I'm not." She scrambled out of bed, reached for him. "Please, just give me a chance to prove—" He jerked away from her touch like it burned. "Don't touch me. Don't ever touch me again. Minjae, you have 59 minutes now." She stood there in her pajamas, shaking, tears pouring down her face. "I'm pregnant." The words hung in the air like smoke. Minjae's heart stopped, then started again, harder, angrier. "Of course you are. Perfect timing. One last manipulation." "What? No, I found out yesterday. I was going to tell you when you got back. I was going to surprise you." "Surprise me?" He stepped closer, his voice dropping to something deadly quiet. "You're pregnant with another man's child, and you thought you'd surprise me? Did you think I'd be too stupid to do the math? Too blinded by whatever spell you cast to realize you've been fucking someone else?" "It's your child." She was sobbing now, desperate. "I swear to you, it's yours. I have never been with anyone else. Not once. Not ever. Only you, Minjae. Only you. Get out. Please, get out." His roar brought Tai Su and 2 other men to the bedroom door. Minjae turned to them. "Escort Mrs. Kang from the premises. She has 30 minutes to take her personal belongings. Nothing I purchased. Nothing that belongs to this family. Just what she came with." "Minjae, please." Jiwon collapsed to her knees. "Please don't do this. I'm carrying your baby. Our baby. Please just listen to me." He looked down at her. This woman he'd loved. This woman who'd made him believe he could be something other than a monster. And he felt nothing but disgust. "That child isn't mine. I know exactly what you are now, and you're not the mother of my children. You're just another person who thought they could use me." He walked out of the bedroom. Her screams followed him. "Minjae, Minjae, please, I'm telling the truth." He closed his office door, poured whiskey, sat in the dark, and never looked back. The 17 calls. The calls started 2 weeks later. Minjae watched her name flash on his screen and sent it to voicemail every single time. She left messages the first 5 times. He deleted them without listening. "Minjae, please pick up. I need to talk to you. It's important." Delete. "I'm still pregnant. I know you don't believe me, but the baby is yours. Please, we need to talk about this. Delete. Min-jae, I'm scared. I don't have anywhere to go. My landlord evicted me because I can't pay rent. Please, I'm not asking for money. I just need to talk to you. Delete. The doctor says I'm having triplets. 3 babies, Min-jae. Yours and mine. Please, even if you hate me, they're innocent. They're yours. Please just call me back. Delete. I'm in the hospital. There were complications. The babies, please, Min-jae, please. Delete. After that, the calls came without messages. Just her name on his screen. 17 times over 3 months. Then they stopped. Min-jae told himself he didn't care. Told himself she'd finally given up the manipulation. Told himself she'd probably gotten rid of the pregnancy, moved on to her next target. He buried himself in work, expanded territory, made more money, crushed enemies, became colder, more efficient, more like his father. He didn't think about Ji-won's face when he'd thrown her out. He didn't think about her screaming that the baby was his. He didn't think about the 17 calls he'd ignored. He didn't think. He just survived. 4 years later, Min-jae was in the back of his car when he saw her. It was pure chance. A traffic jam in a part of the city he never visited. His driver had taken a shortcut through the poor district to avoid construction. Min-jae was reviewing reports on his tablet when movement caught his eye. A woman walking down the sidewalk, thin, wearing clothes that had seen better days. Hair pulled back in a simple ponytail, 3 children walking beside her, holding her hands, chattering animatedly. 3 identical children. Min-jae's tablet slipped from his hands. Stop the car. Sir? I said stop the fucking car. The driver pulled over. Min-jae stared through the window, his heart hammering against his ribs. It couldn't be, but it was. Park Ji-won, 4 years older, 20 pounds lighter, exhaustion carved into her face, but alive, walking down the street with 3 children who looked like they'd been copied from the same blueprint. Dark hair, his eyes, his nose, his chin. No, it wasn't possible. The doctor had been clear 4 years ago when Min-jae had gotten tested after Ji-won's pregnancy announcement. You have a low sperm count, Mr. Kang. Not impossible to conceive, but difficult. It would likely require medical intervention. But he'd never needed intervention. Ji-won had gotten pregnant naturally, which meant his investigation after throwing her out had confirmed what Tae-soo told him. She'd been seeing someone. She'd been planning something. The photos didn't lie, except these 3 children looked exactly like him. Follow them, Min-jae ordered. Stay back. Don't let them see us. They followed for 6 blocks. Ji-won stopped at a small grocery store, the kind that sold dented cans and day-old bread at discount prices. Through the window, Min-jae watched her carefully count money, putting back items when she didn't have enough. The children never complained. They just waited patiently while their mother counted and recounted coins. Something twisted in Min-jae's chest. They emerged with 2 small bags. Ji-won distributed crackers to the children immediately. They ate like they were hungry. Really hungry. Min-jae's hands clenched into fists. They walked another 3 blocks to a crumbling apartment building. Ground floor. The window had a crack taped over with plastic. The front door didn't close properly. Ji-won and the children disappeared inside. Min-jae sat in his car staring at the building, unable to move. Sir? His driver asked carefully. Should we find out everything? Who she is now, where she works, the children's birth certificates, medical records, school records, everything. I want it in 2 hours. Yes, sir. Min-jae didn't go back to his office. He stayed in the car outside that building for 3 hours, watching, waiting, trying to breathe. At one point, the children appeared at the window, 3 small faces pressed against the glass, looking out at the rain that had started falling. They were smiling, playing, happy despite the poverty surrounding them. Min-jae's chest felt like it was caving in. When Tae-soo arrived with the file, Min-jae read it in silence. Park Ji-won, Current occupation, night cleaning crew at office building. Previous occupation, dishwasher at restaurant. Current residence, studio apartment, $400 per month, 3 months behind on rent. Children, Kang Seo-jun, Kang Hae-jun, Kang Tae-jun, born 4 years ago, triplets. Father, listed as Kang Min-jae on birth certificates. Min-jae's vision blurred, hospital records, emergency admission during pregnancy, threatened miscarriage at 7 months, patient admitted alone, no emergency contact, delivery, emergency C-section due to complications, patient required transfusion, near fatal hemorrhage, babies, healthy. Mother, survived. He'd almost lost her, he'd almost lost them, and he hadn't known because he'd ignored 17 calls. DNA test requested by Park Ji-won 2 years ago. Results, 99.9% match to Kang Min-jae, obtained from hospital records during previous treatment. Min-jae couldn't breathe. Sir? Tae-soo's voice seemed to come from very far away. Are you... The photos. Min-jae's voice was hollow. The evidence we had 4 years ago. Where did it come from? Silence. Tae-soo. Where did it come from? I received it from an anonymous source, someone who claimed to be loyal to the family. Someone in my father's employ? More silence. Min-jae closed his eyes. My father knew she was pregnant. Sir, I don't... My father knew, and he had her followed. He manufactured evidence. He set her up because he wanted her gone. The pieces fell into place like shards of glass. And you helped him. Mr. Kang, please understand. Your father gave me direct orders. He said she was a liability, that she would weaken you. Min-jae's hand shot out, gripped Tae-soo's throat, slammed him against the car door. You destroyed my family. Sir, I was following orders. You helped convince me my wife was a traitor. You showed me fabricated evidence. You stood there while I threw her out pregnant. His voice broke. She almost died giving birth to my children, alone, because of you. I'm sorry. Get out of my car. Sir, get out! Min-jae released him, his whole body shaking. You're done. Out of my organization, out of my city. If I ever see you again, I'll kill you. Tae-soo scrambled out of the car, disappearing into the rain. Min-jae sat alone with the file, staring at photos of his sons. 3 beautiful boys he'd never met. 3 children who'd grown up in poverty while he lived in luxury. Because he'd ignored 17 calls. Because he'd chosen pride over trust. Because he'd let his father manipulate him into destroying the only real thing he'd ever had. Min-jae opened his car door and walked through the rain to the crumbling apartment building. He found the door with the cracked window. Apartment 1B. He raised his hand to knock. Hesitated. What would he say? What could he possibly say? He knocked 3 times. Footsteps, small voices. Mama, someone's at the door. I'll get it, babies. Stay back. The door opened. Ji-won stood there, and for a moment neither of them moved. She looked older, tired, thin, but alive. Here, real. Then her face changed. Recognition, then something hard, something cold. No. She tried to close the door. Min-jae caught it. Ji-won, no, you don't get to come here. You don't get to... Her voice cracked. Go away. I know about the boys. Congratulations. 4 years too late. Please. I need to... You need to? She laughed, a broken sound. You need to? What about what I needed 4 years ago when I was pregnant and homeless? What about what I needed when I was hemorrhaging on an operating table with no one to hold my hand? What about what your sons needed when they were born and their father didn't even know they existed because he was too proud to answer the fucking phone? Behind her, 3 small faces appeared. Curious. Innocent. Mama, who is that? Ji-won's expression softened immediately when she looked at them. No one, babies. Go back to your coloring. But Mama, now Seo-jun. The boys retreated. Ji-won turned back to Min-jae, her face hard again. You threw me away. You called me a liar. You accused me of—" She stopped, took a breath. "You made your choice. Now live with it. I was wrong. Yes, you were. The evidence was fake. My father manufactured it. I didn't know." "You didn't know because you didn't ask. You didn't listen. You didn't trust me. You decided I was guilty and threw me out like garbage." "I know." "Do you?" Tears streamed down her face. "Do you know what it's like to be 8 months pregnant, sleeping in a subway station because you have nowhere else to go? Do you know what it's like to go into labor alone, so scared you're going to die, and no one is there? Do you know what it's like to look at your newborn sons and realize they're never going to know their father because he hated you so much he couldn't even answer the phone?" Min-jae's vision blurred. "Jiwon, I called you 17 times. 17. I begged you to just talk to me, to let me explain, to hear the truth, and you ignored every single one. So no, Min-jae, you don't get to show up 4 years later and say you were wrong. You don't get to meet them. You don't get to be part of their lives. We survived without you. We'll continue to survive without you." She closed the door. Min-jae stood there in the rain, staring at the closed door, at the taped-over crack in the window, at the home his family lived in while he'd been living in a penthouse. He'd done this, all of this. He sank down on the concrete step, his expensive suit soaking through, and for the first time in 4 years, Kang Min-jae cried. The siege Min-jae didn't leave. He couldn't. He sat on that step for hours. When night fell, he moved to his car parked across the street. His driver brought him coffee, food, dry clothes. Min-jae ignored all of it. At 6 a.m., Jiwon emerged with the boys. She saw him immediately, tensed, then ignored him completely. "Mama, why is that man sleeping in his car?" one of the boys asked. "I don't know, Hae-jun. Don't worry about it." She walked them to a bus stop. Min-jae watched them go, then followed in his car. The bus took them to a small daycare in an even poorer neighborhood. Jiwon kissed each boy goodbye, watched them go inside, then headed to the subway. Min-jae followed her to an office building downtown. She entered through the service entrance, the cleaning crew entrance. She worked cleaning offices while the city slept. Then she went home, slept for 3 hours, picked up the boys, took them to the park if it was nice out, made them dinner from whatever she could afford, put them to bed, and did it all over again. Min-jae watched for 3 days, learning their routine, their lives, everything he'd missed. On the 4th day, he waited outside the daycare at pickup time. Jiwon saw him and her jaw clenched. "Stop following us." "I can't." "You can. You're choosing not to, just like you chose to ignore my calls, just like you chose to believe lies about me. You're good at choices, Min-jae. Choose to leave us alone." "They're my sons. Biology doesn't make you a father." One of the boys tugged on Jiwon's hand. "Mama, is he the man from the car?" "Yes, baby." "Why does he keep following us?" Jiwon looked at Min-jae, her eyes hard. "Because some people don't understand when they're not wanted." The words hit like a physical blow. "Please," Min-jae said quietly, "just let me talk to you. Somewhere private, away from them. Just talk." "We have nothing to talk about." "We have everything to talk about." "No, you want to talk because you feel guilty. You want to ease your conscience. You want to feel like a good person, but you're not. You're the man who destroyed me and abandoned his children. Talking won't change that." She walked away, the boys following, casting curious glances back at Min-jae. That night, Min-jae did something he hadn't done in 4 years. He listened to the voicemails, all 17 of them. "Min-jae, please pick up. I need to talk to you. It's important. I'm not angry anymore. I need you to hear my side, please." Her voice was so small, so scared. "I'm still pregnant. I know you don't believe me, but the baby is yours. I went to the doctor today. She said I'm about 6 weeks along. That means—" "Min-jae, it was our last night together before you left for Busan. Please just do the math. This baby is yours." Min-jae's hands shook. "My landlord evicted me. I don't have anywhere to go. I've been staying at a friend's place, but I can't stay long. Minjai, I'm not asking for money. I just need to talk to you. Please. I don't understand what's happening. Those photos, they're not real. They can't be. I've never been with anyone but you. God, what had he done? The doctor says I'm having triplets. 3 babies, Minjai, 3. The pregnancy is high risk. She wants me to come in twice a week for monitoring, but I can't afford it. I lost my job. No one will hire me now because I'm pregnant and showing. Please, even if you hate me, they're innocent. They're yours. Please just call me back. He couldn't breathe. I'm in the hospital. There were complications, bleeding. The doctor says I might lose them. I'm so scared, Minjai. I'm so scared, and I'm alone and I don't know what to do. Please, please. Even if you never want to see me again, please let me know you got this message. Please let me know you know about your children. Please. The message ended with her sobbing. The remaining 12 calls had no voicemails, just her calling, hoping, begging silently for him to answer, and he'd ignored every single one. Minjai listened to all 17 messages twice, then a third time, each time feeling something inside him break apart and reform into something new. By the time he finished, he knew what he had to do. He couldn't undo what he'd done, but he could try to make it right, even if it took the rest of his life, even if she never forgave him. He had to try. The negotiation Minjai waited outside Jiwon's apartment at midnight. When she emerged for her cleaning shift, he stepped into her path. She jumped, then glared. "Are you stalking me now?" "Yes." The honesty seemed to surprise her. "I listened to your messages," he said quietly. "All 17 of them. I should have listened 4 years ago. I didn't. That's on me." "Is this the part where you apologize and expect everything to be fine?" "No. This is the part where I tell you the truth. My father hated you from the moment we got married. He saw you as a threat to his control over me. When you got pregnant, he panicked. So he had you followed, had fake evidence created, had photos doctored. He manipulated me into throwing you away." Jiwon's expression didn't change. "That doesn't excuse what you did." "No, it doesn't. I chose to believe him over you. I chose pride over trust. I chose cruelty over love. That's on me, all of it. The homelessness, the hospital, the 4 years of struggling alone. That's all on me." "Why are you telling me this?" "Because you deserve the truth, and because I want a chance to know my sons." "No." "Jiwon, no, you don't get them. You don't get to waltz back into our lives because you suddenly feel guilty. We survived without you. We don't need you." "I know you don't need me, but they deserve to know their father. They have a father, me. I've been both parents for 4 years. They don't need you confusing them." Minjai stepped closer. "I'm not trying to replace you. I could never replace you. You're an incredible mother. You've done everything alone. But I'm asking, I'm begging for a chance. Let me meet them. Let me try to be what they deserve." "Why? So you can throw them away when something better comes along? So you can ignore them when they inconvenience you? So you can—" "I will never leave them." His voice was steel. "I will never abandon them. I will spend the rest of my life proving that, to you, to them, to myself. Just give me a chance. One chance." Jiwon stared at him for a long moment. 1 hour, Saturday afternoon. They don't know who you are. You're just Mama's friend. You don't tell them the truth until I say you can. You don't make promises you won't keep. You don't bring expensive gifts trying to buy their love. You just show up and be normal. If you can manage that. I can. If you hurt them, if you make them care about you and then disappear, I will make you regret it. I don't care who you are or what you can do. You will not break my sons' hearts." "I won't. I swear it." She looked at him with eyes that held no trust, no warmth, no hope, just steel. "Saturday, 2 p.m. Don't be late." She walked past him into the night. Minja stood there, feeling something he hadn't felt in 4 years. Hope. Meeting his sons. Saturday arrived too slowly and too fast. Minjo stood outside Jiwon's apartment at 1:55 p.m., holding a bag of groceries he'd carefully selected. Nothing expensive, just bread, milk, fruit, things a normal person would bring. He knocked at exactly 2 p.m. Jiwon opened the door. She looked exhausted, but she'd clearly made an effort. Clean clothes, hair brushed. The apartment behind her was tiny but spotless. "You came." "I said I would." "You've said a lot of things over the years." The barb hit home. "I deserved that." She stepped aside. "Boys, Mama's friend is here." 3 small tornadoes rounded the corner. 3 identical faces stared up at him with curiosity and no recognition. Minjae's knees went weak. They were beautiful. Perfect. 4 years old with messy hair and bright eyes and his face staring back at him 3 times over. "Hello," he managed. "Hi." The boldest one stepped forward. "I'm Seo Jun. That's Hae Jun and that's Tai Jun. Are you Mama's friend?" "Yes, you can call me Min Jae." "That's a weird name for a friend. Mama usually calls her friends by their first names." Jiwon intervened. "Min Jae is fine, Seo Jun. Why don't you boys show him your drawings while I make lunch?" "Okay." All 3 grabbed his hands, their tiny fingers wrapping around his, and pulled him toward a corner of the room where papers and crayons were scattered. Min Jae let them pull him down to the floor. Let them chatter about their drawings, their favorite colors, the stray cat they'd seen yesterday. "This is a dinosaur," Hae-jun said seriously, showing him a picture that looked like a blob with legs. "It's a T-Rex, but also a Brachiosaurus because I couldn't decide." "That's a hybrid dinosaur," Min Jae said. "Very rare." Hae-jun's face lit up. "You know about dinosaurs?" "A little." "Do you know about Spinosaurus?" "I do." And just like that, Min Jae spent the next hour on the floor of a cramped apartment, talking about dinosaurs and coloring pictures and answering 1,000 questions from 3 boys who had no idea he was their father. Jiwon watched from the kitchen, her expression unreadable. When she called them for lunch, simple sandwiches and fruit, the boys insisted Min Jae sit with them. "Do you have kids?" Tai-jun asked suddenly. The table went silent. Min Jae glanced at Jiwon. Her jaw was tight. "I do," he said carefully. 3 boys. "Really? How old?" 4, same as you." "Do they like dinosaurs?" "I don't know yet. I'm just getting to know them." Seo Jun frowned. "Why don't you know? You're their dad." Min Jae's throat closed. "I made some mistakes. I wasn't there when they were born. I'm trying to fix that now." "That's sad," Hae-jun said. "Dads should be there." "You're right. They should." After lunch, the boys went back to playing. Min Jae helped Jiwon clean up. "Thank you," he said quietly, "for letting me come." "Don't thank me yet. This was 1 hour. Prove you can do this consistently, then we'll talk." "I will, every Saturday, same time. I won't miss a week." "We'll see." When it was time to leave, Seo Jun hugged his leg. "Will you come back next week?" Min Jae looked at Jiwon. She gave the smallest nod. "Yes." "Same time." "Promise?" The word hung in the air. Min Jae knelt down, meeting Seo Jun's eyes. "I promise." All 3 boys hugged him then. 3 small bodies pressing against him, trusting him completely. Min Jae walked out of that apartment building feeling like his chest was going to explode. Those were his sons. His. And he'd almost never known them. He would never make that mistake again. Building trust. Min Jae kept his promise. Every Saturday, 2 p.m., he showed up. Week 2, he brought a ball. They played soccer in the small park nearby. The boys were terrible at it and didn't care. They just laughed and ran and crashed into each other. Week 3, he helped Jiwon fix the broken cabinet in the kitchen while the boys helped by handing him tools and telling him about their week. Week 4, they had a coloring contest. Tae-jun won by unanimous vote, mostly because his picture had the most colors, even though nothing was inside the lines. Week 5, It rained. They stayed inside. Min-jae read them stories until all three fell asleep against him on the tiny couch. Ji-won took a photo, not of him, of the boys, peaceful and happy. Week 8. Hae-jun asked, "Do you have a wife?" "I did once." "What happened?" "I hurt her very badly, and I lost her." "Did you say sorry?" "I did, but some things are too broken to fix with just sorry." "Mama says sorry is just the first step. You have to do the work too." "Your mama is very wise." Week 12. Seo-jun came running up when Min-jae arrived. "I have a loose tooth. Look!" He wiggled it proudly. "That's a big deal," Min-jae said seriously. "Will you be here when it falls out?" "If your mama says it's okay." Seo-jun looked at Ji-won. She hesitated, then nodded. "If it falls out on a Saturday? Yes." It fell out 2 days later. Seo-jun made Ji-won take 17 photos to show Min-jae on Saturday. Week 16. Ji-won let him stay for dinner. Ramen and eggs, the best meal Min-jae had ever eaten. Week 20. Tae-jun fell and scraped his knee. He cried not because it hurt, but because he'd ripped his favorite pants. "It's okay," Min-jae said, kneeling down. "Battle scars, they make you tough." "Really? Really, all the best heroes have scars." Tae-jun stopped crying. "Am I a hero?" "The best one I know." Week 24. 6 months of Saturdays. 6 months of showing up. 6 months of proving he meant it. Ji-won asked him to stay after the boys went to bed. They sat on the small couch, the same one where his sons fell asleep on him months ago. "Why are you really doing this?" she asked. "Because they're my sons." "You have money, power, influence. You could have demanded custody, taken them, raised them in luxury. They don't need luxury. They need a mother who loves them. They have that. I just want to be part of their lives, part of their family, if you'll let me." "You destroyed me," she said quietly. 4 years ago, you took everything I was and shattered it. Do you understand that?" "Yes." "I don't know if I can ever forgive you." "I'm not asking you to. I'm just asking for a chance to prove I've changed. To prove I can be the father they deserve. To prove—" His voice cracked. "To prove I'm not the man who threw you away." She looked at him for a long moment. "One day at a time." "One day at a time," he agreed. She didn't smile, but she didn't tell him to leave either. The truth comes out. 3 months later, Hae-jun asked the question Min-jae had been dreading. "Why don't you live with us?" They were at the park. Ji-won had gone to get water. The boys were sitting on a bench, swinging their legs, looking at him with innocent curiosity. "That's complicated," Min-jae said carefully. "Seo-jun's friend from daycare has a dad who lives with them. Why don't you live with us? You're here every week anyway." "Because—" He stopped, looked at Ji-won returning. She'd heard the question. Her face was tight. "Boys," she said gently. "That's a grown-up conversation." "But Mama—" "Later, go play." They ran off, but Min-jae could see the question wasn't going away. That night, after the boys were asleep, Ji-won said, "They're going to start asking more questions." "I know. They're smart. They're going to figure out that you look like them, that you're here every week, that—" She stopped. "I think it's time to tell them." Min-jae's heart stopped. "Are you sure?" "No, but they deserve the truth. And if you're going to be in their lives permanently, they need to know who you are." "What do we tell them?" "The truth. Age-appropriate version. You're their father. You weren't there when they were born because of a mistake. You're trying to fix it now." "What if they hate me?" "Then you deal with it. Parenting is dealing with hard things, Min-jae. Are you ready for that?" "Yes." The next Saturday, they sat the boys down together. "We need to talk to you about something important," Ji-won started. 3 pairs of eyes looked up at her. "You know how some of your friends at daycare have dads?" Nods. "Well, you have a dad too. You've always had one. He wasn't here for a while." "Where was he?" Seo-jun asked. Ji-won looked at Min-jae. His turn. He knelt down in front of them. "I was somewhere else, making a big mistake. See, when your mama told me she was pregnant with you, I didn't believe her. I thought I made a bad choice, and I left. I wasn't there when you were born. I wasn't there for your first steps or your first words or any of the important things." "Why?" Taejun's voice was small. "Because I was scared and stupid, and I let other people make me think things that weren't true." "About Mama?" "Yes, but Mama's the best." "She is, and I didn't see that. I didn't believe in her when I should have, and I missed 4 years of your lives because of it." Hae-jun tilted his head. "Are you our dad?" Min-jae's vision blurred. "Yes, if you'll have me." Silence. Long. Terrible. Then Seo-jun, "Why did you come back?" "Because I found out the truth, and I realized I'd made the biggest mistake of my life, and I needed to know you, to be part of your lives, if you and your mama will let me." "Will you leave again?" The question came from Taejun, and it shattered Min-jae completely. "Never. I promise you. I will never leave you again." "You promise?" Min-jae reached into his pocket. He'd been carrying them for weeks, waiting for this moment. 3 small bracelets, silver, engraved with their names. "These belong to my grandfather," he said, his voice shaking. "He was a good man, better than I've been. He believed family was the most important thing. I'm giving these to you as a promise that I will never leave, that I will be here, every week, every day if your mama lets me, for the rest of your lives." He put one on each small wrist. The boys looked at them, then at each other, then at him. "Can we—" Hae-jun hesitated. "Can we call you Dad?" Min-jae couldn't speak. He just nodded. Seo-jun climbed into his lap. Then Hae-jun. Then Taejun. All 3 of them, his sons, holding him like they'd been waiting 4 years for this moment. "Dad," Seo-jun whispered, and Kang Min-jae, the most dangerous man in Seoul, the heir to a criminal empire, the man who'd built walls around his heart for 32 years, broke completely. He held his sons and cried. Ji-won cried. Even the boys cried, not fully understanding why, but feeling the weight of the moment. "I'm sorry," Min-jae whispered into their hair. "I'm so sorry I wasn't there, but I'm here now. I'm here and I'm not leaving. I promise." They held each other in that tiny apartment, this broken family finding its way back to wholeness, and for the first time in 4 years, Min-jae felt like he could finally breathe. 6 months later, Min-jae stood in the kitchen of their new home, a house on the outskirts of Seoul with a backyard and space for the boys to run, flipping pancakes badly. "You're burning them," Ji-won said, hip-checking him away from the stove. "I'm creating art." "You're creating charcoal." He wrapped his arms around her waist from behind, resting his chin on her shoulder. "The boys don't care, they'll eat them anyway. They're 4. They'd eat dirt if it had syrup on it." "Dad!" Seo-jun's voice from the backyard. "Come play soccer." "Dad." He'd never get tired of hearing that. "Go," Ji-won said softly. "I'll finish breakfast." He kissed her cheek. They were taking things slow, rebuilding trust, but they were rebuilding, and headed outside. His 3 sons ran at him like missiles. He caught them, spun them around, let them tackle him to the grass. "Did you know you're terrible at soccer?" Hae-jun informed him. "I'm learning." "You're really bad." "Thanks, son." They played until Ji-won called them for breakfast. Burnt pancakes drowned in syrup. Perfect. Later, after the boys were occupied with coloring, Ji-won sat beside him on the back porch. "Any regrets?" she asked quietly. He thought about his father's empire, the power he'd walked away from, the life he'd left behind. "Not one." "Not even a little?" "Not even a little. I had everything: money, power, fear, respect. But I was empty. Now I have this." He gestured to the house, the boys visible through the window, the life they were building. "Now I'm alive." "You gave up a lot." "I gained everything." She took his hand. They sat in comfortable silence, watching their sons play, watching the sun set over their new beginning. "Thank you," Min-jae said finally. "For what?" "For giving me a chance I didn't deserve, for letting me be their father, for—" He looked at her. "For surviving when I tried to destroy you, for being stronger than I ever was." "We survived together," she corrected, "the boys and me. We built this life. You joined it. You're earning your place in it." "I'll spend my whole life earning it." "I know. That's why I let you stay." Inside, Tae-jun called out, "Mama! Dad, Seo-jun is cheating at coloring." "Am not. R2. He's using markers when we said crayons only." Ji-won laughed, started to get up. Min-jae pulled her back down, kissed her properly this time, slow and deep and full of 4 years of regret and hope for 40 more years of this. "I love you," he whispered. "I never stopped. Not for 1 second of those 4 years." "I know," she said. "That's what made it hurt so much." "I'm sorry." "I know that too. Now come help me referee before they destroy the house." They went inside together. Min-jae settled the great marker debate. Everyone could use markers, it's not a competition, then joined in the coloring. His phone rang. His father's number. It had been ringing for months. He'd never answered. He turned it off. Some empires were built on blood and fear and power. This one, this family, was built on second chances and forgiveness and showing up every single day. And as he sat on the floor of his home, surrounded by his sons and the woman he'd almost lost forever, Kang Min-jae realized something his father never understood. This was real power. This was what mattered. This was the only empire worth ruling, not the city, not the underground, not the money or the fear or the control. Just this, just love, just family, just being someone's dad. And it was enough. More than enough. It was everything.